Hey guys, all right, here we go on to day 6. We have today and tomorrow is 7, and then we're going to move on to something else. So I really hope this is just kind of giving you some serious light bulb moments. All right, so number 6 is you don't ask enough questions. And this is huge because there's a couple things that I really want you to think about. Number 1 is, and again, so much of our programming comes when we were kids, and unless we reprogram ourselves emotionally, we're still acting like kids. I noticed a long time ago that you can almost tell when people stop growing emotionally. Some adults act like they're 8, some adults act like they're 16, but until you really realize that your mind and your thoughts and your beliefs, if they're not continually growing, they're just remaining stagnant and they're actually dying off. So it's so important that you're constantly feeding your mind. So when you don't ask questions, there's kind of a couple things going on. One is, sometimes we don't want to ask questions because we just want to be right? Like we're taught and conditioned and programmed at a very young age to just be right. Like you're winning if you're right, okay? So we'll spend so much time and energy arguing with people because we just want to be right. It's just kind of, the principle of being right. We just want to prove to the other person that we're right. And, when you really raise your level of awareness and you really start to become an enlightened person, you realize there is no right and wrong. There just is. And to try to believe, really, logically, that everyone is going to have the same opinion as you, or your opinion is the only one that's right, is truly being so closed-minded, because every single person has walked a different path to get to where they are. They've been conditioned differently. They've been programmed differently through the experiences and what they've been taught to believe. So to try to convince someone that they're wrong and you're right, number 1, it's just a very immature way of thinking. Number 2, it's a huge waste of time and energy. And number 3, it's just, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, what does that really do for you to prove that you're right? Right? It's definitely not feeding your spirit. And the only 2 things that you have going on dynamically within you are your spirit and your ego, right? And when I say ego, I don't mean egotistical. It's just when you're separated from your spirit self. It's your ego. It's just what it is, okay? So the other thing about why we don't ask enough questions is we feel like we can't question authority. So whether it's your doctor or your government officials, whatever it is, we're afraid to ask the question, why? Like, your doctor doesn't know everything, okay? Your public officials don't know everything. So if you just kind of become this very passive person that believes everything that you hear and that doesn't question authority or feel like you have the right to question authority and to ask questions and to ask thought-provoking questions, then you're really missing out and you're just kind of living this life as a robot, just kind of going along with whatever else is going on around you. And then you want to complain that life is horrible and you can't control what's going on and your kids are out of control and your finances are out of control and your relationships are out of control and your boss is out of control, and you're not grabbing on to the personal power that every single one of us has within us. We were born with, we were created with it. But the problem is that most of us are not tapping into it. Okay, so part of that is asking questions. And when you really start to study people and study human behavior, you realize how prevalent this is. Just start to notice, right? Like whether you or the other people around you, how many of them just go so far out of their way to just prove themselves to be right? Or you or the people around you, they don't even ask the question, why? If your doctor tells you to take a prescription and you don't ask what the side effects of that are, or you don't ask what it's really doing, or if it's really healing or just masking whatever it is that you have, Why wouldn't you ask those questions for you or your children or your spouse or whatever it is? They don't know everything, right? So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't stop the curiosity that we were all born with as kids. Do you see how that just gets squashed as we get older? We don't want to learn things. We're not curious anymore. But if you keep that going, there's nothing that says that has to go away as you get older. Okay, that curiosity, that hunger for knowledge, it doesn't have to go away. It's a beautiful thing. You were created with it. Okay, so let's leave it at that for today. Tomorrow we're going to do 7, and that's called You Can't Handle the Truth. So stay tuned for that.